Hi guys, it's Cameron Cheats with Queerty. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm good. I'm so excited to talk about this film, which I absolutely love. Russell, I had the opportunity to talk with you at Sundance. We had a great time.
Had the best time. I remember.
I love Sundance and I love getting to see this film there. I just am so excited that everyone else is going to get to see it now. First, I want to take it to you, Tom. I mean, for a lot of folks, this might be the first major film role they'll have seen you in since The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Talk me through a little bit about what drew you to this project, to the character of Lucas. I mean, were you intentionally looking to do something that felt a little more intimate and smaller scale after doing this massive blockbuster?
I think these films are the kind of films I've always been drawn to, the films that I've always wanted to watch and therefore wanted to be involved in making. Yeah, The Hunger Games was like not what I thought I would do as my first big thing out of drama school. I'd done a few bits in a TV show, but I hadn't led a film and didn't expect it to be this massive franchise film. And so after doing that, obviously I was very grateful. It was an amazing experience, but I purposefully wanted to do more intimate, more well, actually, no, to be fair, The Hunger Games is also socially conscious, but like films that are just more intimate, speak to like more like putting a microscope on like a smaller not a smaller humanity, but humanity, like on a person's experience, I think, rather than a big massive story. Yeah, I the answer is yes. I was looking for more intimate stories. I was looking for more human experiences to delve into.
Yeah, of course. This is a perfect example of that. Russell, you are someone who has had a lot of incredible co-stars over the years. So, I mean, tell me about working with Tom. What did he bring to the role of Lucas in this film?
Yeah, I mean, it's just completely, well, I mean, fundamentally a brilliant actor. You're very emotionally available. You're very in tuned to your instincts, and you want to be the best version of what this can be. And I felt that instantly. And being on set, I'm someone that I mean, I love emotion. I love connections. And I felt like we're both very emotional people, and we both just checked in deep straight away, and it was effortless, and you didn't have to think about it. And that doesn't happen. Sometimes you have to kind of, it feels a bit forced. This didn't, that was just like there, that was a given. And we were able then to just put the rest of the ingredients on top.
I do have to say, someone once told me that the best actors make their co-stars look like better actors. Russell, like being on set with Russell, I was acutely aware that I was working with someone who was making me better. So I would get on set, and because Russell is so dropped in, so tuned to the present moment of the scene, and so available, I was able to just kind of go along for the ride. And any scene with Russell, I was just like, same with Maria Dizier as well. And our whole cast is amazing, but these really difficult, intimate, emotional scenes I had with Russell and with Maria, both were just like, it makes me look better than I am, I think.
Oh, come on. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny you say that, just because I was going to ask about the fact that, I think Andrew to Lucas, of course, is this figure who, there's obviously an attraction and a passion between them, but he also sort of is able to show Lucas the ropes in a lot of ways. I wondered if you could say that there were ways in which Russell was that for you on set. I mean, not that, you're an incredibly accomplished actor, but I wondered if there were things you felt you've learned from Russell just working with him on this film.
100%. I mean, I keep saying this, and you're probably getting sick of hearing it, but I've been yeah, it's with this whole thing. I've been watching Russell for years, his career, long before anyone was letting me act professionally. Anyone let me do it. I feel like that was the first thing I saw you in. Was it Being Human? Was that yours?
Did you watch Being Human?
Yeah, mate. Being Human years ago. BBC Three. Used to stay up late and watch Being Human, and like,
Sure.
yeah, mate, I told you that. So I've loved Russell's work for years. When Carmen was talking about his like dream list of who could play Andrew, I went, "What about Russell Tovey?" And Carmen said, funnily enough, Russell's who I had in mind when I was writing the part, but I don't know if he'll do it. And I went, "Are you kidding? Like, this part is so good. Like, you should ask him." And so Carmen asked Russell, and Russell was so kind enough to come and join us. And we had a chemistry read. And from the moment we had a chemistry read on Zoom, it was very clear that, yeah, we were just lucky to have Russell on board, because it felt, in a chemistry read, that when it feels playful from the get-go, if you can find that playfulness just on Zoom in a chemistry or something, you're like, oh, when we get on set together, it's going to be that times 10. And it sure enough was. Like, as soon as we got into rehearsals, it felt extraordinarily playful. And I think the main takeaway for me was that Russell's really, really good at taking himself not too seriously, but taking the work very seriously. And it creates this amazing vibe on set where you get to come to work, really enjoy coming to work, really enjoy stepping into a scene with your co-stars and friends, and still having the end goal in sight, which is that we're going to make this great film and do justice to the story and to the filmmaker, but we're going to have fun while we do it, which creates trust, and it means you can play.
I feel exactly the same sort of like working with you, mate, and just being on set. It was a very, very, very special job, and people are picking up on that when they actually watch the film, which is its reward you could ever have. Is when you're so attached to something and you have such deep connection and love for this project, and that people are walking away from this film just raving about it or saying nice things or just connecting to so many different character facets is such a privilege.
Tom, you mentioned chemistry, and I was speaking with Carmen about this a little bit ago. I've been saying since I saw it at Sundance, the hottest scene of the year, bar none, is the movie theater scene when you're in the lobby just speaking to each other, inches from one another's faces. I mean, I was speechless. I haven't been able to get out of my mind. So I would love to just kind of talk about really specifically filming that moment and what that was like for you. I mean, in a way, I'm imagining you both rehearsing and spending hours on end just that close to each other. But what was that process like?
Well, I think as a location, it's totally immersive. So, not sweetheart? Yeah.
You floored me.
I thought you. I think as a location, that movie theatre was so intrinsically grand and theatrical and dramatic, and that sort of dwarfed us in some way that you feel like you can really find this quiet, intimate thing together. I don't know what it is. I love that scene so much too. My favourite too. And it's good you pick up on that, because I mean, I've watched this film now at various Sundance and various screenings, and that scene, I want it to be longer. I just love it so much. I think it's when they both finally can be themselves in front of each other, because before, you know, in the mall is obviously they're both pretending to be a version of themselves. When they go to the room where they've got all the letters that you stick up outside, they're both like, Andrew's sort of pretending to be this version of himself, and you're like uncomfortable. And but then they just sort of both completely drop their guards. They're so open and vulnerable, and they're just like, who are you? Who are you? Let me just look at you. Okay, all right, I like this. Yeah, let's do this. You know, and that's, I think we were slightly improv-y at times, and we had a bit more time that day, but it just felt perfect.
And the cinematography is beautiful. The framing, like Carmen and Ethan Palmer,
they would share it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, sometimes Carmen does this thing where when he gets really excited, he'd say to Ethan, who's our cinematographer, who was also operating, he'd say, like, give me the camera. And he would get in there and operate himself, because he just got so excited. He wanted to be there in the intimacy with us.
And there was no vanity with Ethan. He was like, that's me, that's my role.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, go.
Lit that so beautifully, that scene. It was so well lit, and they played with shadow really well, and it's like they shoot it in the two shot where we both just kind of stood, like you said, inches away from each other. So it was just like, it was one of those scenes where it was like beautifully written. We got to just be really present with each other and kind of feel this like first moment of love growing between the characters, and then like technically they shot it so beautifully. So yeah, it was like a perfect storm.
Takes my breath away. Absolutely. Can't wait to see it again on a big screen. With the little bit of time left, Russell, back at Sundance, you and I did speak a little bit about the very real history of not just cruising, but these police entrapment plots. And, you know, those weren't just a thing of the 90s. Yes, this is a period piece, but I'm curious if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about why you think this is an important story that we're telling right now in this moment.
I just think if you don't create a safe space for people, they're going to act out in dangerous ways. I remember being young and getting in situations where I was desperate to connect with people who felt and thought the same as me, and I'd end up in places where I would never go. But because you're just desperate for contact and connection, you do this. You know, these guys are being pushed to the margins, and it speaks to today's values. It wouldn't surprise me if this is happening right now again, and that's terrifying. And what this film does is it shows these people that are probably being demonized, that this behavior is probably being frowned upon, but you're able to empathize with them and see that they're just the same as you are, but they just want connection, they just want love, and they want acceptance, and they want to feel safe. I think we have to keep telling queer stories, and we have to prove our existence, because if you don't, we can all be denied. And right now it's terrifying times. So you have to be able to see yourself up there, or just know that there's a beacon of hope. If you're not getting it from government rhetoric, you're getting it from your artists, you're getting it from the contemporary voices who define an age. And just look to the artists. If you feel lost, scared and alone, look to the artists.
Beautifully put. Thank you for saying that. That's just one aspect of why this film is just so needed right now. I do have to wrap there. I'm so grateful for the time and such a fan of this, so this has meant a lot. Thank you both.
Thank you, Cameron.